everyone, it's Helen from Wychcrafts. So it looks like Wreck This Journal is going to be a thing, it's going to be a series. I'm really excited that we're going to be working through this. The overwhelming response from the admittedly small number of people who voted in my poll was that they wanted to see me do the Wreck This Journal, so that's what I'm going to be starting. I'm going to try and post a video weekly, probably be on a Friday. And so the way I've decided to work this is I got my son to get the book and just flip through the pages, and he's going to each time pick probably 3 pages for me to work on. Some of them we might work on together. He said he wants to give me a hand, so that might be something we do in the future. So let's have a look at the first page that we're going to be doing. So this is the very first page that he picked. It's about halfway through the book, I suppose, and it's actually got 4 things plus the instruction there. So I'm going to take each of these as separate pages. So the first one I'm going to do is the cover. I'm going to bend the rules slightly in that I'm not going to be doodling over the cover, I'm going to cover the cover. So I decided to use this stripy pink paper. I think it was in a crafting magazine. So I'm just measuring and marking out where the window needs to be, because I want the title of the book to still be able to be seen despite covering the cover. So just marking out where that window needs to go. It's quite difficult because the edges aren't completely square. But I'm going to be covering the edge of the window with washi tape anyway, so it doesn't really matter if it's not 100% precise, but the window needs to be roughly in the right place. So then I'm using a scalpel, I think it's called an X-Acto knife in America, just to cut out that window. Rubbing out my pencil lines. Then I'm going to use Spray Mount, which is a really good adhesive. It's a spray, it's quite stinky, so I'm going to take the book outside and spray the whole cover, and then just smooth the paper into place. Now this is the washi tape that I'm going to use. It's a red stripy one. And I don't want it to be too neat, so just putting that around the edges of the title of the journal. Now I'm going to carefully trim off the excess paper using a combination of the scalpel again, and then scissors just to round the corners, just trimming it all the way around. And then putting some washi tape around the edges of the book as well, just to neaten it up and hold the paper in place and finish it off. Now I'm going to apply some texture to the front of the book. This is something I've done a few times before. This is a sketchbook that I did, which I really enjoyed doing. So you can buy commercial texture paste, but it's really quick and simple to make your own. You need some PVA glue. You need some talcum powder. This is lavender scented baby powder. You need some white acrylic paint, and you also need a little drop of water, and then mix all of that together. You'll probably need to add more talcum powder as you go along because you want it to be quite thick. What I ended up with was actually a little bit runny, really, So for some reason my camera didn't film it, but what I did was put a splodge onto the front of the journal, and then I wanted to echo the line theme with the paper and the washi tape. So I'm using an afro comb here to smooth it out and make some ridges in the front of the book. Had to use my heat tool just to take some of the moisture out because it was very runny, and then just neatening up the furrows with a bamboo skewer. And then I cut some cocktail sticks into little short lengths and then put these on. I put a thin layer of the texture paste on first just to hold them in place, and then I went over and added more of the texture paste over the top of the cocktail sticks to hold them in place. I used my heat tool again just to dry that off a little bit. Then once it had completely dried, I got a palette and some acrylic paint. This is Pebeo Studio acrylic in rose because I wanted to echo the colour of the stripy paper, and then I also had some white and some silver, and then I've just created a couple of different shades of pink by adding varying amounts of white to the pink paint. And this is a sponge. I think it's actually from a face painting kit, but it's just a nice synthetic sponge. I've also got a piece of natural sponge, and then I'm going to just use a small paintbrush just to apply the first layer of pink, the lighter shade of pink paint, just to cover over the texture paste. And then just blend the edges using the natural sponge. And then dabbing on some of the darker pink just to add a bit of shading and interest around the textured areas. And then I wanted to just blend in the title, so just a couple of splodges of the darker pink colour. And then adding a few highlights here and there with the silver paint. I did all of this while each of the layers was still wet because I wanted the colours to blend together. If I'd have waited for one colour to dry and then applied another over the top, it may have been too opaque and it wouldn't have given such a blended effect. Then just a few splatters of the silver paint here and there. Would have been better to use a toothbrush for that. And finally just finishing off around the edges of the washi tape with some of the darker pink colour. And then just blending that in to make the edges softer. Then I left it to dry, and then this polyurethane varnish, clear gloss varnish, I've had for a while, so I thought I'd try that out. I could have just used PVA glue, that probably would have had the same effect, and I just painted one coat of the varnish over the top of the book and it should hopefully help to protect it. I also painted a coat of varnish over the spine of the book just to give that a bit more protection as well. So on to the second page, and this one is called Fill This Page with Circles. I was able to buy recently a set of Crayola Super Tip markers. These are washable markers which I think are designed for children really, but I've seen a lot of people using them for art and they recommend them quite highly. So I thought I'd give them a try. So I'm going to be using rainbow colours, and then I just started off by drawing some circles in each of the colours. I didn't want to draw just a bog standard boring rainbow, so I thought I would just mix it up a little bit. So I've edited this quite heavily because you don't need to watch me drawing lots and lots of circles in lots of different colours. This yellow was actually quite orangey, I think. It looked more yellow on the colour of the cap, so it was useful to see the colour on the actual page is different to the cap colour, so that's something I need to bear in mind for when I use them again in the future. On to green and then blue. And finally violet. I wanted to just add in some other shades of the different colours in between as well, just to fill up some of the blank spaces, but also to create a bit more of blending between the colours so it didn't look quite so demarcated for each of the different colours. So just adding in some extra circles of varying shades of the original colours. And then my daughter, who's 2, is obsessed with bubbles at the moment, and so I decided I was going to turn my circles into bubbles. So using a white Posca paint pen, I decided I was going to draw little reflections onto each of the circles to make them look more like bubbles. And again, I've sped this up and edited it quite heavily because you don't need to watch me drawing reflections onto every single circle on the page, but I'm very pleased with what it does. It really does make them look three-dimensional, and it also adds a bit of interest and texture to them. Sometimes you get a little bit of fluff on the end of these Posca pens, so it's necessary to either pull that off or trim it off. Need to be careful because the whole nib comes out of the Posca pens, which I hadn't realised. Some of them, the Posca pen, you need to put on more than one coat to make sure that it covers the original colour well enough. And the thing I've learnt with using the Posca pens is to not use them like a pen and push hard, but to use them like a brush and press quite lightly, because that way you get more of the ink, the paint, flowing out of the nib, and it makes for better and more even coverage. So the next page, I'm actually going to be doing two pages here because these are going to be work in progress. These ones I'm not finishing today. The first one is to collect fruit stickers. So this is a sticker from a banana. It's quite sticky, it's a bit ripped, so I decided to use a Pritt stick just to glue it in place. I could have used Mod Podge or PVA glue instead, or sticky dots or something like that on the back, but I decided Pritt stick was probably going to be good enough because the stickers were still quite sticky anyway. So I've got 3 banana stickers. These are stickers from Braeburn apples, and I've actually got, there's 2 different kinds of stickers, both from the same apple. And then I decided to draw a little pencil outline of each of the types of fruit. The idea being I'm going to build up a sort of fruit bowl collage type picture on this page, but as I say, it's a work in progress. It's not finished yet. I need more stickers. I think kiwi fruit come with stickers, so I might get some of those. And then the second page that's a work in progress is collecting the stamps off of all of your mail. Now, I don't really get many letters that have actual stamps on them, so I managed to find these 4 that I've obviously saved at some point in the past. So I'm going to start off by sticking these down. If anyone wants to send me a letter with a stamp on it, then that would be much appreciated. You can leave a comment below and I will let you have the address to send it to, especially if you're from overseas, so not from the UK. It would be really nice to have some stamps from other parts of the world to go on here. So then I just outlined each of the stamps with a Crayola marker in a colour that matched the colour of the stamp. The one in the middle, the one I've put 2 decorations around, a green and a red, is a Christmassy stamp, so I thought red and green were Christmassy colours. So thank you very much for watching. There'll be more Wreck This Journal coming soon. I'm going to try and post every Friday if I can. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. and have a look at this other video that you might enjoy as well. You can also visit my Etsy shop using the address on the screen, where you'll find jewellery and other unique gifts. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.